Good morning and welcome to your Farm and Home Show. I'm Kristi Shive, and today we're back with Sarah Drysdale. She's Family and Consumer Sciences Agent in Ballard County. Sarah, you are talking to us about all things Kentucky Derby. Tell us again why it is the most exciting 2 minutes in sports.
Kristi, Derby time is a wonderful time here in the Bluegrass. So, for those unfamiliar, the Kentucky Derby is a horse race that is held, of course, on the first Saturday in May in Louisville, Kentucky at Churchill Downs. This is far be it the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. This is always an uninterrupted event that occurs with a 1.25 mile race that happens at Churchill Downs. It has been synonymously done uninterrupted with major historical events such as World War I and II and the Great Depression.
Now, Sarah, you talked to us a little bit about the history of the Kentucky Derby. For anyone who missed it, tell us just a little bit about some of the great history behind the Kentucky Derby.
So, the great history behind the Derby, as I said, is it has been long standing since 1875 is when the first Kentucky Derby was started. And since then, it has become just this wonderful event that happens every year here in our beautiful state. And the most amazing thing about the Kentucky Derby is it's also called the Run for the Roses. And this is where we have that beautiful blanket of roses. Over 400 roses are hand sewn into green satin every year to place on top of the horse and jockey that come across first place at the Kentucky Derby.
Now, Sarah, we cannot mention Kentucky Derby without talking about fashion and traditions of the Derby. What are some of these amazing fashion traditions of Kentucky Derby?
So some of these amazing traditions of Kentucky Derby, anybody that has watched it on TV or gotten to be there in person, they know that everybody is wearing beautiful hats. Everybody dresses in their Sunday best of Sunday best. Gentlemen wear seersucker suits. Ladies have beautiful dresses. Like I said, hats that are amazing. And I do wish I had had a hat here today with you, but unfortunately, it just did not make it with me. But some of these hats can be very small and petite just to kind of shade us from the sun if we're outside in the inner ring watching. And even if we're on Millionaire's Row, where we are kind of covered on the inside, still big hats with feathers and straws and all sorts of glamorous things. And some people spend weeks finding the perfect hat to go with their outfit for the Derby.
Well, Sarah, food is always a wonderful spread at the Kentucky Derby. What are some of these Derby delights, as you called them to me the other day?
As you know, I am a food person myself. So Derby delights are always a go-to. I am a sweet person, and so Derby pie is always one of my favorites. It is a pecan pie with chocolate. It is fantastic. Then, of course, we always do have things like bourbon bread pudding, which is very good. We've got hot browns, which is like a hot ham and cheese. But of course, Kentucky, we do it better by adding bacon, a fresh tomato, a very hearty cheese sauce. And all of these things can be done at home, even if you wanted to have your own Derby party.
I think that there are so many options. The options are truly endless if you wanted to have a Kentucky Derby party. I know that many plan for those every single year, especially if you cannot make it to the actual event. But Sarah, for anyone who will not make it to the event, remind us when it is so we can tune in on television.
Of course. So, as I mentioned, the Kentucky Derby is always broadcasted and uninterrupted. It will be the first Saturday in May, which is May 6th, 2023. It will begin at 5 p.m. Eastern Time with a post set time approximately of 6:45 Eastern Time, 5:45 Central Standard Time for the race to begin.
All right, Sarah, now I have to ask, have you actually been to the Kentucky Derby?
I have not been to the Kentucky Derby. That is on the bucket list. I think for many Kentuckians, going once in their life is on their list, and it is on mine. And one day I will be at the Kentucky Derby.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for being with us this week to talk all things Kentucky Derby. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Farm and Home Show, and we'll see you next time.